workspace. And for us, that means instantly lowering the stakes of our daily stress and anxiety by just directly confronting the existential reality of our existence. There's this fantastic quote from the Pursuit of Wonder source material that highlights this perfectly. It says, "You are somewhere here, magnetized to a strange, lushly coated wet rock floating in its designated position of endless nothing." I mean, wow. When we zoom out far enough, your tiny self is just posted up on this tiny rock surrounded by dark, massive, unending space. Honestly, this single realization can be profoundly freeing. No matter how big a job interview, a test, or a bad date seems, it's just a single, short frame in a movie that literally never ends. Yet our reality on the ground feels totally different, doesn't it? We are just assaulted by constant noise. I mean, look at the daily headlines from sources like Forbes, reports on fatal shootings, the ever-climbing net worths of billionaires, rapid AI advancements, and the European Union demanding Instagram remove infinite scrolling and addictive features. With all of that, it's absolutely no wonder we feel stressed, inadequate, and perpetually distracted. The contrast between our quiet cosmic reality and our loud daily intake is just staggering. So in this unending space filled with all this manufactured digital noise, why do we bend until we break just to belong? The lyrics of Colby Kylot hit the nail on the head, asking us exactly this. Why do we put our makeup on, max out our credit cards, and run the extra mile just so people like us? It's a vital question. Actually, let's take it a step further. Do you even like you? Once we strip away the noise and that desperate need to fit in, we can finally start working on what actually matters. Section 2. Cultivating genuine confidence, the front end of your personal development. So what happens when you take your makeup off, let your hair down, and just look in the mirror? How do we actually cultivate genuine confidence? Well, the absolutely crucial point is understanding what confidence actually is. The framework from TED-Ed defines it beautifully. Take the belief that you are valuable and worthwhile, that's your self-esteem, add in the optimism that you are certain of your abilities, and suddenly you are empowered to act courageously. Confidence isn't just a fleeting feeling. It is the engine that turns your thoughts into action. But how do we build that engine? A lot of it comes down to the personal choices we make and our mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe your talents are just locked in place at birth. You've got what you've got, meaning you'll likely give up at the first setback. But if you adopt a growth mindset, you believe your abilities improve like a muscle. And neuroscience backs this up for sure. The connections in your brain actually grow stronger with study and practice. Challenges literally become opportunities for your brain to wire itself for success. Here are 3 practical steps to boost that confidence engine. First, you can use a quick fix, like listening to music with deep bass to promote feelings of power, or striking a power pose. Second, actively believe in your ability to improve. And third, practice failure. Look, everyone fails, and this brilliantly illustrates the point. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 different publishers before Harry Potter was picked up. 12. The Wright brothers built on a whole history of failed attempts. Accept that you're gonna make mistakes, be kind to yourself, and just go for it. Section 3. Discipline is an emotion, the back-end logic of your habits. Now that our front-end confidence is set, we need to dive into the back-end logic of our daily habits. When we hear the word discipline, we instantly think of boot camps, rigid schedules, and just forcing ourselves to do things we hate through sheer willpower. But wait, willpower is a battery that drains. According to addiction psychiatry and insights from the Healthy Gamer GG source, this standard view is completely wrong. What if discipline isn't about willpower or forming an automatic habit at all? It turns out discipline is actually an emotion. Specifically, it is the emotion of resolve, or what ancient yogis called sankalpa. Common neuroscience has kind of led us astray by localizing negative emotions, like fear in the amygdala, but positive emotions actually come from really complex circuits connecting different parts of the brain, like the frontal lobes and anterior cingulate cortex. Resolve is a powerful emotional state that acts as a thermonuclear engine to constantly fuel your willpower. To truly understand resolve, we have to look at its direct opposite, doubt. A wavering mind is the true enemy of discipline. If you aren't sure you're in the right major or the right relationship, that doubt will drain your willpower dry. Conversely, resolve fuels consistent action. And here is a critical warning from the source material. Emotional numbness blocks this positive energy. A lot of undisciplined people are actually emotionally numb, using technology or substances to numb negative feelings, which unfortunately numbs the positive fire of resolve right along with it. So, let's look at how we build this into an actionable daily practice. To cultivate this emotional engine, you start by simply noticing when you feel resolved. Just pay attention to it. Next, you practice with a small resolve, like giving up ice cream, just as the psychiatrist in the source material did for a decade. Spend 5 to 10 minutes every morning just stoking that feeling like a fire. Finally, after a month, move to a global resolve, something deeply important, like the mantra, I deserve to be whole. Spend 10 to 20 minutes a day actively cultivating that positive emotional fire instead of just relying on your limited willpower. Section 4. Building your personal systems. Orchestrating your internal technologies. So we've got confidence fueling our actions and the emotion of resolve driving our consistency. Now we have to organize the whole shebang. Think about it like you're a web developer. The source material from Jan Goebel explains that to build a real production-level web application, you can't just know one single thing. You have to orchestrate different technologies like React, Redux for state management, or visual builders like Divi. Well, building a great life requires the exact same orchestration. You use tools like time blocking to manage your schedule, SMART goals for direction, and mindfulness trackers for state management. You pull these separate tools together to create one unified, incredible experience. In orchestrating these tools is especially crucial when we consider how we allocate our mental bandwidth. According to ADD's resources, neurodivergent individuals, particularly those managing ADHD, face immense challenges with executive dysfunction and timeliness. This means their mental bandwidth gets drained incredibly quickly. Whether it's maintaining healthy habits, setting boundaries, or avoiding the trap of just sitting in waiting mode, having a structured, externalized system like printable workout calendars, daily checklists, and clear routines is absolutely essential to keep your internal operating system from crashing. Section 5. Fostering true connection, the network protocol for empathy. All right, now for the final piece of our architecture. A computer is practically useless if it can't connect to a network, right? Well, our lives are exactly the same. We need to look at the protocol for how we securely and meaningfully connect with other people. And the biggest barrier to a secure connection is blame. Brené Brown shares this hilarious but striking anecdote. She drops a full cup of coffee on her tile floor, completely ruining her white slacks and pink sweater. Instantly, out of her mouth comes, "Damn you, Steve," her husband, who wasn't even in the room. Why? Because blame gives us a semblance of control over our pain. But as her research shows, blame is just the discharging of discomfort. It destroys relationships and actually prevents true accountability, which requires honest, vulnerable communication. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound difference it shows between sympathy and empathy when someone is in pain. Sympathy looks down the hole and says, "Ooh, it's bad. Hey, want a sandwich?" Or worse, it tries to put a silver lining on it by saying, "Well, at least you have this." Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, on the other hand, climbs right down into the hole with the person. It fuels connection because it's a vulnerable choice to feel with people, to connect with something inside yourself that knows that exact same pain. To execute this connection protocol effectively, nursing scholar Teresa Wiseman gives us 4 actionable qualities of empathy. First up, perspective taking, truly recognizing another person's perspective as their truth. Second, staying out of judgment, which, let's be honest, is tough because we really love to judge. Third, recognizing emotion in other people. And fourth, clearly communicating that emotion back to them without trying to fix it. True connection, not a quick solution, is what actually makes things better. While we've covered a massive amount of ground today, we zoomed way out to the cosmos, built up our confidence and our emotional resolve, orchestrated our daily systems, and learned the true nature of empathy. Which brings us right back to where we started. Against all conceivable odds, you have this consciousness, this incredible capacity for wonder. Knowing what you know now about the architecture of your own mind, how will you choose to build your life on this tiny, weird rock moving forward?